Hey guys, I'm going to show you how to double hit on the world boss. I want to apologize for all the mess ups with the streaming and videos that have been coming. I'm not entirely sure what all has happened with them, but hopefully this one will work. At any rate, the goal is that you'll get 2 attacks. The world boss is 1. You'll do this by getting auto attacks in between your normal attacks, as you can see I'm doing right here. The 2 main abilities you'll be using is your slasher and your ultimate slasher. The rest of them are you can use your enhanced stealthic and your Thundera, which I will explain later. To translate for all the other classes, the slasher and ultimate slasher is the equivalent of your thunderbolt and rain of fire, and your arrow shot and multi-shot for mages and archers. Regardless of the 2 abilities right here. So your 2 abilities right here are the ones you want to alternate between. You want to start with slasher every fight. And remember, when I say slasher, substitute thunderbolt or arrow shot, and when I say ultimate slasher, substitute rain of fire or multi-shot. So you're going to want to start with slasher just because it's the fastest ability, and it will upset the rest of your sequence the least. Also, because that you can get the first hit with ultimate slasher as well, but with slasher it's just easier to do the rest of the combo, I found. When you're going to try to get the double hit with ultimate slasher, following that, you're going to want to use ultimate slasher right before you actually use the auto attack. That is, when I say auto attack, I mean what your champion does when or your hero, I guess, in this game, does when you do no abilities. And it just attacks the world boss without using any abilities. And that's what I mean by auto attack. So you're going to start with the slasher, and subsequently you're going to, right before you attack, auto attack, you're going to use ultimate slasher. It won't register the ultimate slasher in time, so it's going to follow through with your auto attack, and then right after that auto attack you'll get your ultimate slasher in. Following that, you're going to auto attack again. In the middle of that auto attack, not before it, you're going to use the slasher ability. The slasher takes a lot less time for it to register and for it to go, and so you want to use it in the middle of your ability instead of right before you use it. Or in the middle of your auto attack instead of right before you auto attack. Here you'll use slasher in the middle, and then the second time you use ultimate slasher, you have to time it a little bit earlier than when you did the first time you did ultimate slasher. It'll hover above your head for a second or two because of this, and even then I used it too late. Don't worry if you use it too late, because if you do use it too late, you can just turn it into an auto attack and 3 attacks to his 2. And what I mean by that is, instead of getting 2 attacks to his 1 for those 2 rounds, he will get 2 attacks and you'll get 3. The way that will work is that you are waiting for your auto attack, and right before you use it, you'll use your ultimate slasher. It'll follow through with the auto attack, but since you were late, he will get the next attack, the world boss will. So at that point you're 1 for 1. Then you'll follow through with your ultimate slasher because you did use that ability. And then right after that ultimate slasher, if you use slasher, it'll do the slasher as well in the same round. That way you'll get ultimate slasher, the 2 abilities, ultimate slasher and slasher, in the same round, and essentially and then he'll attack you for a second attack. So he'll get 3 attacks, or he'll get 2 attacks and you'll get 3. It's still better than 1v1ing, although it's not optimal. It's not the optimal 2 for 1, which you can do. It's just not going to hurt you. So essentially, just rest assured that you're not going to lose any attacks or get penalized for doing this method. Also, if you do what I did right there and wait about half a second to a second before using slasher, if you're a knight, the mage and archer doesn't matter as much, but I'll explain why in a second. But if you're a knight and you do need to get the 3 attacks to his 2, it's a lot better to try to wait a second to use the slasher. You'll still get the double hit with the ultimate slasher and slasher in the same round, but the difference for a knight is that both of your abilities right here have 5-second cooldowns. The problem with this is that when you do that, the cooldown for the ultimate slasher will still be on cooldown when you do the slasher, so that you won't be able to use any ability at all at that point. So the waiting on the slasher just helps you to get the ultimate slasher off of cooldown, and so you can use it again and double hit immediately afterwards. Even if you don't wait, you can still do it based on how the timing for the turns work. Most of the time, it won't always work that out in your favor. However, it still shouldn't hurt you. The archers don't have a cooldown on their arrow shot, so you don't have to worry about that. And the mage's 1-second cooldown on Thunderbolt is irrelevant, essentially for that purpose, for the double hitting. So you don't have to worry about both your abilities being on cooldown for either of those classes. I will break down the attacks in a sequence of 9 attacks. Even though you can get 11 on the war boss, because there's 5 rounds, you get 2 attacks per round, except for the opening round, in which you only get 1. You can start with slasher. That's easy. Then you do auto attack ultimate slasher. Then you do auto attack slasher. And then you do auto attack ultimate slasher again, with a little bit more stretched time frames. Then you finish up with the 8th and 9th attack of auto attack and slasher. So that should be 9 attacks right there. There'll be 3 total slashers, 2 total ultimate slashers, and 4 total auto attacks. So 3 slashers, 2 ultimate slashers, 4 auto attacks. And the reason why you will have 1 more round to attack after that. The problem with it is trying to double hit on that round is that as you keep on double hitting throughout the entire boss, the timing for everything gets stretched a little bit. That's why for the second ultimate slasher you have to do it a little bit earlier than when you did the first ultimate slasher. And that's just because of the stretching of the time of getting 2 attacks to the 1. Because of that, the third ultimate slasher is much harder to land for a double hit. It's not impossible, it's certainly able to do it, it's just much more difficult. And if you do go late on that one, since it's the last round of the world boss, then that was a mistake. However, if you do the try to do the double hit on the last round of the world boss and you're late, the 3rd round of doing the ultimate slasher, then you could just auto attack and he does his ultimate, which would kill you. So instead of being able to get the 3 attacks for his 2, you only get the 1 for 1 and the auto attack, just because you won't get the 2nd round to do that in. So I try to be safe a little bit on the last round and just use the ultimate slasher. If you want to try to get the double hit still, I recommend using the ultimate slasher earlier in the round, confidently enough so that you're pretty sure, you're rather certain actually, really certain, that you're going to get just the ultimate slasher. However, even if you're a little bit late, let me rephrase that if you were to get the double hit, great. But if you weren't going to get the double hit, it was because you're early, not because you were late. The reason why I say that is because it actually will hurt you. That's the only circumstance in this entire double hitting thing where it can actually hurt you to try to do the double hit and fail, because it's the end of the fight. Otherwise, I recommend trying to do it in such a way that if you don't get the double hit, that you're doing it early instead of late. Just because then you don't lose anything if you just get the ultimate slasher off. I like to do the enhanced Delphic Destroyer in between whenever I have 100 rage. I haven't been doing it yet because I wanted to show you as much double hitting as possible. However, I'm going to incorporate it into a couple of attacks on the world boss here in a second. The way it's going to work in your rotation is you're going to open up with your slasher, like always, and then you're going to immediately follow it into Enhanced Delphic Destroyer. In Archer, you can use your Delphic Sniper, or your Enhanced Delphic Sniper. I don't know which one would be better for you to use, to be honest. Then I'm assuming Delphic Sniper, because it's not the AoE. For mages, you want to use Thundera, because both your Delphics are AoEs, so they're not as useful in the rotation. They're not as useful for single target DPS. I'm not entirely sure how you go with the fact that you can cast 2 Thunderas for your 100 rage, so you might want to ask Swift Blaster about that. I know he does the double hitting strategy, and I know that he incorporates Thundera when he can. I wouldn't be surprised if he did the Thundera on the last round of the world boss regularly, every round, to compensate for the fact that it's hard to double hit on that round. However, there's also the possibility that he might try to get 100 rage and then do Thunderbolt at the start, followed by Thundera, followed by auto attack Thunderbolt, followed by Thundera again. That's certainly a possibility. I'm not entirely sure how that works in the rotation, so you might want to ask him about that. As far as archers, you can probably use your Delphic Sniper at the same time I use my Enhanced Delphic Destroyer. And as a side note, when you use, at least for knights, and I assume something similar will happen with mages and archers, or particularly archers, since you're using the Delphic ability as well. Since the Delphic abilities take so long to charge, I guess you could say, being cute, the Delphic abilities tend to stay in Q time above your head a lot longer before they actually get used. On account of that, it will stretch out the time frames for the rest of the fight a little bit more. That's not a huge deal. You can still double hit on all the rounds subsequently because there's only 4 rounds left. You can get the 8 attacks, 2 slashers, 2 ultimate slashers, and 4 auto attacks. The timing for them is just a little bit more skewed. So so basically, what I'm trying to say is that when you're using your Enhanced Delphic, when you use your Enhanced Delphic Destroyer or your Delphic Sniper, all of your abilities are going to take a little bit more time to register that that you've clicked them, essentially. So you want to use your Ultimate Slasher a little bit sooner than what you would normally use it during the boss. Again, that just takes a little bit more time to get used to. It is just something different, although it is certainly possible to do it and double hit every single time after the Enhanced Delphic Destroyer. On the bright side, if you do land all 8 of those subsequent attacks after the Enhanced Delphic Destroyer, all of the 4 auto attacks, you will get enough rage to be able to Enhance Delphic Destroyer every single round of the world boss. Don't expect to be able to do it every single round, like I've already messed this one up, but it's certainly a possibility. I have at max done Enhanced Delphic Destroyer 4 rounds in a row as a somewhat perspective. So it's not, when you're doing 14 rounds, it's not a huge difference. I mean, that's not like you're doing it half the time or anything. Well, actually, you will use Enhanced Delphic half the fights at least, because you can use it every other fight regardless of what you do. However, just keep in mind that if you do nail everything perfectly, you'll end the fight at 87 rage, or 89 depending on your talents. I had the talent that increases the rage consumption of Ultimate Slasher by 1, so I'd have 87 instead of 89 rage. At any rate, that means as soon as you start the fight with Slasher, you gain the 15 rage, and you would have Enhanced Delphic Destroyer. And see how I missed 1 auto attack last time? I have 89 rage right now. I would have 100. So that way I would be Enhanced Delphic Destroying right now. And essentially, that's most of everything to it. I would recommend using your Illusion Astral on World Boss because it can't do anything but help you. It's not going to make you survive longer typically, unless you get really lucky and dodge all 4 attacks of his ultimate. just as a general tip. I've only known one person to ever do that, and that was Swift Blaster. In case you're curious what happens after that, you just get 5 more attacks from the world boss and then another ultimate. So it's nothing special. You get your just a second attack on the world boss in the same fight, basically. As far as doing this on different things, you can do this in world boss. Obviously, I'm doing it now. You can do this in Catacombs. Catacombs is really helpful to use it during, because the eyes give you a debuff that reduces all of your stats by 50% for 3 rounds. And since you'll be getting double attacks, that means you'll be going through those 3 rounds twice as fast. And instead of getting 2 to 3 attacks on you while you have 50% less defense, he only gets 1 attack on you with 50% less defense. So that would drastically improve your survivability in Catacombs, and it will drastically improve your damage throughout the long term of the fight. So I highly recommend doing that. And again, during Catacombs, do the same thing with the 10 attack sequence, where you'll get 3 slashers, 2 ultimate slashers, and 3 auto attacks, or 5 auto attacks, sorry. 5 auto attacks, 3 slashers, and 2 ultimate slashers. And then you'll reset. And by reset, I mean after the 3rd auto attack slasher, then you will just use ultimate slasher. You won't try to double hit with it. You'll just use ultimate slasher. It'll reset the times for everything, and that way you will be able to fix all the stretching of the times, turn-based times that you've been doing. And that way you can go back into the 10 attack sequence and not have to worry about the stretch times that you're dealing with. Obviously that could be different for different computers based on how well your computer handles the lag you'll be getting. However, that's my recommendation as what I have found from my personal experience. As a side note, I would recommend not even trying to go for the last hit on the world boss, because with the server merged, it's ridiculously large population on the server, and so getting the last hit on the world boss has become exponentially more difficult than it was when the server was 1. And that's coming from somebody who's gotten 5 hits on the world boss and has set up for the last hit every fight back before the server merged. It's just my recommendation not to try. If you get a shot at it, then awesome, but if you don't, just try to get the gold, I would recommend. A couple more things before I end the video. You can do this in 1v1 arenas. It's incredibly difficult to do that. And I recommend only trying to do the double hit with slasher when you're doing arenas. So essentially, I would also recommend trying to not do it during 1v1 battles that you could potentially lose if you fail. I would only recommend doing it in 1v1 battles that you know you're going to win. You either know you're going to win no matter what you do, or you know you're going to lose if you don't succeed at double hitting. So that's my only recommendations for arena, because it is really difficult to get the double hits in, mainly because you're against another player and there's a lot more variability. And the thing about this is you want to limit the variability in the fight in order to get the double hits better. And since in a PvE boss like World Boss and Catacombs, the variability is, well, none, because it's an automated boss that attacks a certain way consistently. I have tried it in Tormented Necropolis, and it did not work very well. So, I mean, you can try it yourself in Tormented Necropolis, but it did not work for me. So I recommend you can try it, but, well, I wouldn't go into Tormented Necropolis thinking it's going to work and then not get far. Otherwise, in campaign you can do it in your bosses. In multiplayer dungeons you can do it in final bosses as well, or any bosses. And but it is similar to difficulty in 1v1s because there is 4 players on your side, a lot more variability. However, if you're going to do it, try to, again, do just a slasher and auto attack cooldown. And that shouldn't be, I guess it's not as hard as Arena, but it is still hard. Much harder than any of the other things that I've mentioned. Catacombs and War Boss. At any rate, I hope this video helps you, and I hope you can figure out how to double hit pretty well. Again, don't worry, there is no consequences for failing. You can only just get a bonus auto attack. Because if you do go late, you can get 3 attacks to his 2 instead of just 1 for winning. So regardless of what happens, you'll come out on top. And enjoy the video, and let me know if you have any questions, and I'll be happy to explain anything more.